So I'm going to discuss two arguments to support the argument that Gonzalez was within the boundaries of his job description and the law. The first issue that comes about in this discussion is that Gonzalez apparently went outside the boundaries of his job description concerning that he found a way to eavesdrop on the international phone calls and email messages of Americans and others inside the United States without court-approved warrants. Okay, so this, honestly, people are overreacting to this issue. If you live in the United States, this is one of the most free countries, and you're complaining that the government can view some of your texts. Well, first of all, they're not just going to view everyone's. They probably have a reason to be viewing yours, and even without a warrant. So what? What are you doing that you don't want the government to know about? That's not a big deal. If they found out my messages and they found me texting Carly saying, "What's up?" I personally wouldn't care if they knew that me and Carly were going to go swimming this afternoon. You really shouldn't be that concerned about it. Although he shouldn't have done that without a warrant, people are obviously overreacting. He was struggling to prevent terrorist attack. 9/11 had just happened. It was time to take extreme measures, and people obviously overreacted to this. He didn't just decide to view random people's text messages. He did it with calls going outside of the United States of America. International phone calls should probably be monitored, especially after a terrorist attack. People had no reason to overreact to this. I honestly do think that phone calls outside the United States, international calls, should be monitored, because why are you calling them? I understand, like, many people might have family not living in the country, but those should be monitored. You could easily be talking to someone who doesn't live in the United States, and if the government can't know about this, how many more terrorist attacks are there going to be? Okay, so at the beginning of the failed Attorney General from March 11th, 2007, it states that during the nomination of Gonzalez, he understood the difference between being Attorney General and he actually wanted to have a job to represent all Americans as their chief law enforcement officer and a key defender of the Constitution. It states that 2 years later, he doesn't have a clue about the differences. Okay, that is obviously completely exaggerated, because when you first get a job, there is no possible way that you know 100% what you are going to do and what you are getting into. There is absolutely no way, okay? You don't know what's going to happen one day. So 2 years later, after having a job as Attorney General, people are saying that he doesn't have a clue about the difference. That is false. That is just completely inaccurate, because I'm sure that he does know the difference, but once he actually got into the government, he started to possibly change his views a little bit than 2 years before. People change. That's a normal thing. Everyone does it. So I don't know why people are hating on him, because he is trying to defend the constitutional rights, but he's also trying to defend American lives by preventing terrorist attacks. So people should really, really calm down, because apparently Gonzalez changed from after 2 years from being elected. And then, to continue on with the same article, it says that the FBI had been using powers that Gonzalez declared. And then later it says, Robert Mueller admitted Friday that his agency has used the new powers improperly. So, Robert Mueller clearly states it's his company's fault. They did it wrong, and they're going to fix it. Good for them. And then right after that statement, it says Mr. Gonzalez does not directly run the FBI, but no, you can stop there. He doesn't directly run it. Stop blaming him for this. This guy just admitted that he used it improperly. He is not Gonzalez. This guy, Robert Mueller, used it improperly. It's not Gonzalez's fault at all. And it goes on to just try to make up reasons why it's kind of Gonzalez's fault. You know, he decided to make these new laws, and he trusted people who were working along with the American government to use them properly, because these people are important and should be upstanding people more so than anyone else, than any other civilian. These people work in the FBI, so they should know how to use the laws correctly and not to abuse them, but that's exactly what they did. And Gonzales trusted these people and was let down by them. It's not Gonzales' fault. Okay, so now I will be addressing the topic to support the argument that Gonzales should have resigned. Well, to start off, Gonzales was a suck-up to the president. He played a critical role in shaping Bush's administration policies. Not only that, but he also discusses in great lengths in his interview that he is profoundly grateful to this president. He says, "I have always said that if he were a Republican, Democrat, or Independent, I would be supportive of him as a man because of what he stands for and because of the opportunities he has provided me." So Gonzales, if Bush were possibly, just throwing it out there, responsible for the 9/11 terrorist attack, you would support him. Is that what you're saying? Because Gonzales just clearly stated he would pretty much support Bush no matter what Bush had done. But to Gonzales, he thinks that Bush stands for something positive. Not only that, but Bush also provided him a good job. So it seems to me that Gonzales agrees more with the president than with the well-being of the community of the United States as a whole. I would like someone to explain to me why that would possibly be logical to defend one man out of the millions living in the United States and to possibly ruin their lives. In Gonzales' opposing view, They Lost My Confidence, he pretty much states that his job was one of the most challenging tasks in any business. If you couldn't handle the job, why would you accept it? He didn't have a reason to accept the job if he had no idea how challenging it was supposed to be. It seems that he is not qualified since he does not even know what he was getting into. He later goes on to pretty much complain that people are claiming that he's political. I don't know why he complains about this so much. It's obvious that the government is about politics and everyone in the government is going to be political, so he needs to stop trying to make people feel bad for him because people are calling him names. Honestly, Gonzales, you can't even handle the job, first of all, and then you're going to go on to complain about what people say to you. He needs to stop with the press and just continue on with his job. Bush isn't going to make him leave because obviously Gonzales is Bush's hand man. He goes on to say that 7 people that resigned coincidentally as he was in office, they lost his confidence. Why does that matter? The government isn't about Gonzales alone. Dear Gonzales, the government doesn't revolve around you. These 7 other people were probably doing more for the government than you were. They were probably helping people while you were trying to bring people down. The government does not revolve around me. And your article statement does not get anyone's sympathy. No one feels bad for you. Now let's be honest. Gonzales, first of all, didn't care about his country, only cared about President Bush. He later somehow found a way to have 7 appointed people in the government. He convinced them to resign. Now, to go on with that, some serious things that he abused with his power was interacting with people's phone calls and text messages and emails and everything. We live in the U.S. This country is free. There is no reason that the government should know about my personal business unless I'm doing something illegal. Now, if I was doing something illegal, I think that the government should maybe institute a law that says they might need a warrant. Oh wait, that is a law. Gonzales just tried to find a way around it. There are laws for a reason, Gonzales, and you, one man, should not have to declare that all of a sudden people don't have their rights anymore. He clearly wants to be a key defender of the Constitution, and then takes our constitutional rights away. Now, in my personal opinion, I would like to discuss the interview with Gonzalez, because this heated me a little bit. Personally, I think he's an idiot, because for most of this, he couldn't even answer questions properly. What really irked me was him saying, I think that Washington is a very difficult town. Well, gosh, I didn't realize that Washington, D.C. was the only difficult town in the United States. Okay, Gonzalez, let's go on to read more. But generally in government, it's very political, and that's the nature of it. Going on again, government is political. That's what it is. Don't stand here and pretend that government isn't all about politics, and don't stand here and tell me that government is not political, because it is. He's clearly stating things that everyone in the U.S. already knows. And then he goes on to say, people who don't think politics drive a lot of what happens here are naive. Who would possibly think that? Who is so dumb to think that the government doesn't revolve around politics? And then later on he says, look at the record in terms of these hearings. Why would they look at it when you could easily tell them right now? He doesn't even know how to answer a basic question. He goes on, he's talking, and he ends his sentence with, I'll just stop there. You're in the government. Can you at least pretend to be smart and answer your questions responsibly? So later on, the person who was interviewing him says, of all the things you've heard about your performance, what really hurts you the most, and what do you consider the most unfair? He again starts complaining that people say that he's political. And then he, as a closing statement in this sentence, he says, I make decisions based on what I think is right. Why should America live their lives based on what one person thinks is right? That's idiotic. You shouldn't base important decisions on your personal opinion. You should be evaluating the evidence and then consult other people in the government instead of somehow finding a way for them to resign. And then together you can decide what's best for the citizens of the United States of America. Later on, the interviewer asks, but you don't think your critics were fueled by the desire to chip away at what you represent? I mean, you're this billboard that tells people that Republicans can be inclusive too. His answer is, you'd have to ask them. That's all he says. He isn't even trying. He isn't even trying to defend himself. He's obviously just complaining about things, and then when he gets a serious question, he doesn't even answer it. Last thing that irks me, I don't even have to read the question. He starts his answer with, I don't know. Why? Why should you be running our government?